All right. So, hello, Kayla. Long time no see. Kayla was in Puerto Rico with us. Brady and Alex and Ben and Kayla and I and Sydney and little Zach Jose. We were, see if I forgot anyone else, and Ash. We were in Puerto Rico this weekend, having a blast. So, perks of being a top performer, which is what this group is all about. So, if you are here from last week, just a reminder, this is the Six Figure Club. Our goal is to help you either sell $100,000 in a calendar year, get to $100,000 in career sales, period, okay? Or get to the level where you're making $100,000 in income per year, which I think is everyone's eventual goal. Am I right? Good. What's up, Ryan? Hey, Elizabeth. There's Jared. Cool. So the goal here, just a reminder from last week. I know we have some new people, and you're probably gonna hear me say this constantly. Okay, as a new reps when they're new, they sell a lot of Cutco because they're just really excited. Cinnamon, would you agree to that? You didn't know the demo, you didn't even know which website you're supposed to be on, but you sold a lot of Cutco because you were excited about the opportunity, you're excited about the product, and you just showed a bunch of people. Is that pretty accurate for a brand new rep? I would say so.
Yes, it is.
And then you start learning some things and you get better at the job. You know, you come to meetings like a team meeting and you get more skills and you learn and you grow and your results go up. And then I think level 3, stage 3, you get to the point where you almost like, you know too much, you say too much, you're overdoing it, you're overselling, and your results end up going down. It's a sophomore slump. The goal is to avoid that period of your career as a Cutco rep. And then eventually, if you avoid it, you end up in this magical state, the fourth level of being a sales rep, which is where you're doing everything the right way. You've gone back to the basics, but you know exactly what to say to get maximal results. And you know what not to say. You're not over talking. I heard one of my best friends, Jake Zimmerman, told me this. My philosophy when I was a brand new rep was build a ton of rapport. If you build a ton of rapport, everything else works out, right? They like you, they buy a ton. They like you, they give you a ton of referrals. Jake said something pretty profound. He was like, you know, when I was new, I tried to build so much rapport, like 45 minutes of rapport. And I'm like, you can be likable in 45 minutes. You can also be likable in 5 minutes. And you can get the same effect if you know what you're doing. So I think this call, we're going to be exploring a lot of topics. Last week, we really outlined the purpose of the group, what we were looking to do. We outlined some, and it's in the WhatsApp. And if you're not in the WhatsApp, you need to message the chat here. And Ben, can you add people to the group? Find them on WhatsApp. If you don't have a WhatsApp, you need to download WhatsApp and then comment in the group. If comment in the chat here. If you're not on the WhatsApp group, Ben's going to send you a link to join. And we're going to be using that WhatsApp more. I was just in Puerto Rico and had no service. So we didn't really use it at all this weekend after our call on Wednesday. So we really outlined the group, what we wanted to talk about, what topics we were going to cover. So just to give you an idea, we were talking about phone skills. We were talking about selling sets. We were talking about the ultimate set, the signature set. We were talking about package deals. At some point, we'll talk about business gift orders. So that way, I'm sure some of you saw Ash drop $6,900 in sales for on an order. We're going to teach you how to do business orders. You're going to get some time with maybe Russ. Russ is going to teach you how to do 5, 10, 15 grand orders. Eventually, I'll have opportunities to do realtor orders. You guys are the group that we're going to pull from for fair and show opportunities. People that can go to a location like a Hampton Coliseum or the Richmond Home Show or the Gun and Knife Show in Newport News, or a boat show, or the junior market in Roanoke. And you'll travel to a location, people will come up to you at a booth and you can sell to them. You'll learn those things on this call. I also want to get you guys really good at the basics. Last week we reviewed the basics. So just as a reminder, and I want to make sure everybody has this down, okay? You need to memorize your rec approach. The most important thing that you do as a sales rep is get referrals and get really good at getting referrals. None of the stuff I'm going to teach you is really effective if you aren't really good at getting referrals. You know, I would hate to see Tyson go out and sell a ton of Cutco and like 2 weeks and then have no one else to sell to. That would suck. It's got this amazing opportunity and no one to show it to. You want to make sure that you're leveraging that. And at the same time, you're prospecting to get into new networks, new groups of people. So you need to memorize your rec approach. I think eventually this group, you're going to be the people that we're going to look to get a mentor or a coach, someone who's a CSP, someone who's selling thousands of dollars a week, tens of thousands of dollars a month, 100 to 200 to $300,000 a year. Someone that can mentor you and give you the accountability that as a district manager, I'm not going to be able to do if you're not in my office. Does that make sense? So if that sounds exciting to you, you guys are in the right place. I want to review really quick just what that would look like from a numbers perspective. We did this last week. I'm going to do this every week just so you have an idea of like where we're at. Okay. So we are in week 7 of the year right now. Okay, we are in week 7. Week 7 ends on Monday night, this Monday night. Okay, week 7. So, reason why you need to know that is there are 52 weeks in a year. So, out of the 52 weeks, there are 45 left. Okay, not including this one. And assuming you're at 0 or 5K or 2K or 3K, whatever you're at for the year, I don't know. Elizabeth, you're at like 10 or 11, 12. Margie, you're at like 6, 7. Ash, I don't know what you're at. But you want to figure out what you're at and then subtract that from 100,000. So let's assume you're at 0 right now. And you want to sell 100K for the year, right? So pretty easy math. What do? We divide $100,000 in sales divided by 45 weeks. So 100K divided by 45 weeks is you need to sell 2,222 per week to sell 100K. Did you know you'll make 50 grand for the year by selling 100K? You know how absurd that is for a college student to even think about making that much money? Do you know what the average college student makes graduating and they go into their dream job? It's disgusting. It's like 39,000 is the average. I remember I was running a training seminar in 2016 or something, and I had this sharp Virginia Tech student in front of me. And I asked the group, I'm like, hey, just out of curiosity, like, what do you guys want to do when you graduate? And they're like, oh, architect and like, you know, get into law and do this and go to medicine and work for a Fortune 500. They had lofty goals. Okay. And I was like, just curious, like, what do you think you want to make graduating like your first year? And the kid was like, I'd be fine with like 80,000. Like, you should Google how few people actually make a 6-figure income. It's absurd. It's like a 1 or a 2 or a 3% of the US actually makes a 6-figure income. And it's everybody's pipe dream, right? But for a college student to make 55 grand for the year or 50 grand for the year is absurd. And you guys have the opportunity to do double that, by the way, to make 100,000. How do you make 100,000? Can anyone tell me? Quick answer.
Sell 200,000.
Bingo. And what does that mean? What would you need to do a week? All you're doing is doubling these numbers. So Sydney, what do you have to sell per week?
4,444.
Yep. So if you want to make 100 grand, $4,444 per week to make 100,000. In a calendar year. If you're at 0 right now, okay? So today's call, I'm going to go over the systems, what it would take to make sure that this happens, to make sure you can make this happen and you have the system set up to be able to do that, right? If you just kind of lackadaisically go through your week and just set appointments on Wednesdays and Sundays, there's no chance in hell you'll sell that much. Sorry. You got to have systems in place. You got to treat this like a business. Like you're a business owner. You're the CEO, CFO of Ben Fields & Co., right? Cinnamon Bowman & Co., whatever you want to call it. Jared Vaughn Incorporated. Sounds sexy. I like the That's good. LLC. Zach Jose, LLC. I like it. So does that make sense? So check this out. If you want to sell 2,222 per week, divide that by, let me get an average order. Kayla, do you know your average order?
608.
608. All right, cool. So divided by 608. So Kayla needs to sell 3.6 orders at 608 each. Now, Kayla's a badass. Most of you will eventually have a $600 average order or higher, or right around there. Okay. The way to figure out your average order, by the way, is take your career sales, divide by the number of sales you've made. You didn't have that math down. And you can figure it out. The other way to do that, by the way, it's on Vector Connect. So let me show you guys really quick. Let me pause what I'm doing here. And can you guys see that? Yep. So check this out. So if you go to my account and you go to stats and you go to sales and CPO, it actually has your average order right here. Mine's 447 as a district manager. Cool. You can see your office average order, 484. Virginia Beach, by the way, is kicking everyone's butt, divisionally, regionally, and nationally. Pretty proud of that. Not bad. And I don't know if you guys knew this, but if you want to keep track of how much you've made for the year, maybe some of you don't even know this, but you can go to stats and then earnings. If you haven't been working much this year, this might be a little sad number, but pretty cool. So far for the year, I've made 30 grand. Not bad. So where this gets really exciting is when you have a blowout year, like we'll go back to 2020 when we had an amazing year in 2020. This is pretty crazy. There's earnings for the year for me. That's exciting, isn't it? By the way, if any of you want to be a district manager, highly recommend. It is pretty fun, and if you're good at it, it's very lucrative. So just FYI. But that should give you some confidence. Man, I watched this like a hawk when I was new. I was like, all right, cool. How much have I made so far? I'm very money motivated. Okay. That's what drives me. And if I'm like, I have a target and I have a goal and I can hit that goal very easily, it's like, all right, cool. What do I need to do? What are the steps that I need to do to work backwards to make that happen? So that's what we're going to talk about today, systems. Okay. So you got to figure out what it is for you, whatever your average order is. So Kayla, do you feel pretty confident you can, and if you want to double that, do you feel pretty confident that you can do 8 orders a week? If you can do 8 orders a week around being a mom and married and, you know, all of your busy duties there, which I'm sure you can, 8 orders a week is like 10 appointments a week, right? You'll make $100,000 for the year, which is really exciting. That's exciting for you. That's exciting for Josh. That's exciting for your office. It's exciting for, by the way, for what it helps you help everyone else to do. Where Josh is like, oh yeah, you got to meet Kayla. Yeah, she makes 100 grand last year, you know, as a mom, part-time, you know, no big deal. Like it's casual. Okay? It gives people confidence. So let's talk strategy here. So if you want to work this backwards, okay. So let's talk just selling $100,000 for the year. So selling 100,000 for most people, it's not going to be 608. It's not going to be 4 orders. Alex, can you tell Turner to call Michael Johnson, please? Thank you. He just called in on a sale. So that'll probably be like 5 orders a week. Or let's say you have a low average order, 2,222. Your average order is 222. It's really low. It's half the normal average order. Okay. You sell a lot of small stuff. That would be 10 orders a week. So at most, you need to get 10 orders a week. So let's work this backwards. If you need 10 orders a week and you sell on 70%, okay? So 10 divided by 0.7, you need 14 appointments completed Here's the other thing that you need. Michael sold a can opener. Nice. Here's what else you need. Do people cancel on you guys? Have you ever had cancellations, reschedules? Okay, we're going to talk about that today too, because we're going to avoid that. Okay. It sucks. I hate it. I don't know why people are so flaky. Blows my mind. But 14 appointments. So if you need 14 completed, we should probably book how many? What do you guys think? Throw our number in the chat. What do you guys think? 20? 21? All right. Here's what we want to get it to. Everyone's saying 20. We want to get it to 15. You should not have that many people cancel and reschedule on you if your skills are buttoned up. Okay? Which is what this group's for. Okay? So let's go with 20 though. You need 20 booked. Okay? Now, you have two ways that you can do this. You can be really inefficient. Let me define inefficient. How many of you have seen a rep in training or at a team meeting and they make 5 calls every hour and they're just wildly inefficient? They're being lazy. They're not calling a lot of people. They're like, make a call, get on Instagram, watch a couple reels. Oh shit, I should be phone jamming. They go back to phone jamming. They get a Snapchat. They send a selfie. And then they're like, oh crap, I need to make another call. Is that the right way to phone jam? Alex, you're going to love this. If you were your boss paying you $20 an hour, what kind of expectation would you give to that employee when making phone calls? I would fire the majority of the reps that I have because they suck on the phone. They're lazy and they make like 5 calls and then, not good. That's one way to do it. If you know a rep that's doing that, please help them. It helps me, it helps them, and it'll help you. Helps the office. Now, on the flip side, we've got reps like Langston. Langston's one of my best reps on the phone. He just chunks out phone calls. The kid, here's how he does it. Make 3 calls, hang up. If they don't pick up, he calls them back. 3 calls, hang up, call the next one. 3 calls, hang up, call them back. 3 calls, hang them up. I'm getting confused. Do you see my point? There is 0 time in between. Call, hang up, 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 call, hang up. He's using Q to his advantage. If you're not using Q or vector impact to your advantage, by having it queue up the phone calls that you want to make, and you just hit next call, next call, next call, next call, or next call, redial, next call, redial, next call, redial, next call, redial, next call, redial. That's how you should be phone jamming, okay? So here's what should happen in a phone jam. You should come into a phone jam with about 60 phone numbers to call. You should call about 30 an hour. If people don't pick up, you should call 20 an hour if people pick up. Okay? So check this out. It takes 30 seconds to make a phone call. You should be able to make 20 of those where people don't pick up. What's 20 times 30 seconds? I guess if you're calling them twice, that's going to be a double tap. That's 20 times 1 minute, right? That's 20 minutes of phone calls where no one picks up. You should probably have 5 pick up, and it's about a 5-minute phone call. And 1 pick up and tell you no, that's also a 5-minute phone call. That's another 30 minutes. So you have about 30 minutes of no answers and 30 minutes of answers spread out between, all your phone calls. Is that fair? This is what you want to get to. You want to be really efficient on the phone. Take all the thinking out of it. Call the next one, call the next one, call the next one, call the next one. A lot of reps get hung up on oh, who do I want to call next? Who would be a good one? Or the notorious, how many of you know reps in your office that they'll complain, no one's picking up. They're like, oh, everyone must be at church right now. I don't know if I should call anyone. How many of you have heard reps like that? Or they've like hit up the chat box. They're like, oh my gosh, everyone's at church right now. Like, I used to love when I was in person and someone would say that. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Yeah, no, I heard about that. They were posting online. They were saying like, everyone's at church right now. And the rep would be like, really? I'm like, no, get on the phone. Like, how ridiculous you sound. Everyone is not at church right now. Call people, and the ones that are not busy will pick up. And the ones that are busy won't pick up. And it doesn't matter. Okay. Who cares who's next? You almost have to have a little bit of a thick skin on the phone. Okay. So if you're calling 30 an hour, you're getting a hold of 5, depending on how good your phone skills are, is going to determine how many you book. You should be booking 3 an hour. Okay. 3 per hour. If you're booking 3 per hour, let's do the math. How many hours do you need to call to book up 20 appointments? Someone shout it out. Let's see how good you guys are.
7.
7. All right, we got the math major. Sydney, what's your math? What's your major? Is it math? It's not math.
It's human resource management.
That's kind of like math. People, and not numbers. All right, so easy math here. So you should call for 7 hours. So let me break this down so easy for you. So easy for you. Tyson, if I rolled up to you at a gas station, I wouldn't because I'm in a Tesla, but if I did, and you were pumping gas and you're like, bro, that's a nice Tesla. And I'm like, thanks, man. It's like, what do? You ever seen the videos of like, hey man, like nice car. What do you guys do? And I said, oh, I own a business. And you're like, oh, that's cool. If I had some office cleaning to do, and I was like, Tyson, tell you what, I will pay you $100,000 if you go a year where you show up at my office no later than 7:30 in the morning and you work for an hour and a half. I might have you scrub the toilets. I might have you make phone calls. I might have you, vacuum the office. I might have you do some Cutco appointments. Doesn't matter what I'm going to have you do. Would you be down for that?
Yeah, it really doesn't matter. If that's the price, I would show up anytime you needed.
Awesome. So you need to treat this like, when do people that make $100,000 now, $100,000 for the year, when do they go to work? Like what time? What do you guys think? 8, 7, 9? Is that pretty accurate? So we have a disconnect. We have college students who like to wake up at noon, and we have, I want to make $100,000. We got to bridge the gap. So the best time to make phone calls, is Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. This is the best time to call. Not the only time that you can call. This is the best time to call. You catch adults before they come home from work and are pissed off. You catch them before, the kids just left on the bus. They're making some food. They're getting ready to go to work. Maybe they already got to work. They already had their coffee. They're feeling good. They're not groggy anymore. Look, adults wake up at really early in the morning. They wake up at like 6 or 7 or 5. If they're a mom, Kayla's like nodding her head like, yeah, I wake up at like 4. It sucks. That's the best time to catch them, okay? Now, that's only 5 hours of calls. So when do we do our other 2 hours of calls? What do you guys think? Wednesday night, Sunday night. Ding, ding, ding. Your managers have already put this together for you. The problem is most people only do Wednesday and Sunday. And they have a crappy phone jam on Wednesday, they book 1, and then they have a crappy phone jam on Sunday, and they book 1. They do 2 appointments for the week. One of them cancels. They complete 1, and then they're like, oh, I'm not making enough money. They're not working enough. Okay? I always hate when reps are like, well, Andy, I'm just not making enough money here. I need to go do another job. It's It's like, man, it's cool, but the problem is you'll still be at that other job. It's not a job issue, it's a you issue, like that we have to fix. Does that make sense? It's a little hardcore and a little bit tough to swallow, but it's like, I just want to shake people. And I'm like, if you just put in a little more effort with Cutco, you'll never have to work anywhere ever again. Or you'll make enough to where you're gonna have the skills and the confidence to go do your dream job later in life and be really freaking good at it. If you quit here, you're not gonna build those skills, and then you're gonna have a tough time when you do get your career. It's gonna be tough. So best time to call Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Okay. Now, next question for you is, do you guys have a phone approach that you like? Who has a phone approach that they like? Raise your hand. Keep them up. Keep them up. Keep them up. Keep them up. All right. Be honest with me. I'm not going to get mad. Be honest with me. Who doesn't really use a phone approach when they make phone calls? Be honest. I'm not going to get mad. Okay. I'm just kidding. I'm so pissed off. I wrote all your names down. I'm just kidding. Trust me, you need to get a phone approach. Winging it will only get you so far. Your talent will only get you so far. You have to get a phone approach that you like. So if you don't have a phone approach, I need you to text your manager right now, and they're going to send you a custom phone approach. Okay? A custom phone approach. Text your manager right now. Right now. Right now. I'm waiting for a text from someone. If you're in my office and you text me right now. All right. So you need a phone approach that you like. Look, when I was new, I did the same thing. I didn't use a phone approach. Talent, I'm likable, I can wing it. And then I hit a little bit of a rough patch with recommendations, and I'm like, shoot, I need a phone approach. So I wrote my own, and I used it my entire career. I used it from 14 grand in sales to 90 grand in sales. Now I use a different phone approach because I do service calls. Okay. You need a phone approach that you believe in, that you like, and that sounds good. Now, you want to do that with your manager. Write it, run it by your manager first before you use it. Your manager is going to know what needs to go in it, what doesn't need to go in it. Most of you that are having a lot of reschedules and no-shows and cancellations, you're probably not using the second half of the phone approach, which is the firm up, which honestly is the most important part. So your firm up needs to be like, I think I told Cinnamon, was I talking to you earlier today about a phone approach? I mentioned to her or someone that you almost have to go a little overboard. No, it was Des. I was talking to Daisy about her phone approach. She was like, yeah, I'm having a lot of cancellations. So I said, you've got to go overboard. When you do the firm up, you do this. You're like, hey, thank you so much. This really helps me out with that scholarship that I was trying to earn. So I really appreciate it, Miss Jones. Thank you so much. Like, oh, no problem, sweetie. All right, thanks. Like, oh, whoa, hold on, Miss Jones. Hey, if you can go ahead and jot down really quick our appointment time. It's Saturday at 5. Got that? Cool. And next to that, if you want to jot down my rep number, it's 33115224. And you want to say it fast, just like that, to where they don't have time to write it down. 33115224. And they'll always go like this, like, oh, okay, yeah, I wrote it down. They didn't write it down. So then you go like this. You go, cool. Hey, can you repeat that back to me? Make sure I gave it to you right. Ooh. You know what they always say? Oh, yeah, let me get a pen. Hang on 1 second. They lied to you. They told you they wrote it down. Do you see why so many people reschedule and cancel? Because they forgot. They didn't write it down. So you have to have them write it down. So then you repeat it back. It's like 33115224. Cool. Did you get it? Cool. You want to repeat it back to me? All right. And you can even say, hey, that's my scholarship number. This is so good. Check this out. That's my scholarship number. That's also your customer discount code, just in case you do see something you're excited about. What does that do? That plants the seed for what? Sales. Now they're thinking, oh, like maybe I do want to buy something. I don't know. I don't know what the product is. Okay. Then, hey, Miss Jones, if you can also jot down a little smiley face next to my name, that way you know what I look like. They always think that's cute. They're like, all right. Well, Ben, I wrote everything down. Is that it? I'm like, Yeah. Hey, and I'm sorry to make you write down so much stuff. It's just that, I had a client last week that canceled on me last minute, and it like put me behind on my scholarship goal. And then you say this. Now, Miss Smith, I know you wouldn't do that, but this appointment is really important to me. I just wanted to make sure you had it written down because people forget, things come up. So are you sure that that time works for you? Like 100%? What does that do? Your client goes like this. They're like, oh, well, I wouldn't do that. Yeah. All right, cool. Yeah, I got it written down. It's basically like, hey, one of these other clients, they were an asshole. They canceled on me. They rescheduled on me. Like, they put me behind on my scholarship goal. I know you wouldn't do that. And they're like, no, I wouldn't do that. And it just firms up in their mind how important it is. Okay. People don't want to be a jerk. The problem is a lot of new reps, they're like, all right, yeah, so 7 o'clock work. All right, cool. Yeah. Hey, call me if you need to cancel or reschedule. And the customer's like, all right, cool. Sounds good. I will. And then they do. And then you're surprised by how many people cancel on you. Right? Or your firm up text says, hey, are we still good for that appointment? And your client's like, oh, not anymore. Now that you brought it up, we actually want to do something else. And it's your fault. Does that make sense? You brought it up. You're like, hey, do you want to cancel or are we still good? Do you see how that small change in your phone approach will drastically change your results? Gang, imagine if you could complete 15 appointments by scheduling 15 appointments. That's like 2 extra hours on the phone that you don't have to do. Now, take it next level. Tyson, you're gonna love this. What if to hit your sales goal, you wanted to sell on 4? What if you could just do 4 appointments and sell on 4 appointments? Isn't that a lot better than doing like 14 appointments to sell on 5 appointments, 4 appointments? Personally, I'd rather work less for the same result, Or there's going to be weeks where you're like, you know what? I'm going to do 14 appointments and I'm going to sell on all 14. Is this good stuff? You liking this? You can get to that point. I know, I did it. I have like 4 no sales under my belt. I sold like 80 grand, 90 grand before I became a district manager. And they were all sales except for 4. I can tell you who they were. So I didn't like wasting my time. I wanted to get them to get something on every single appointment that I did. Really efficient. Cool. So the next step is your systems. Where are you putting your phone numbers? They either need to be in queue or an Excel spreadsheet or vector impact. One of those 3. Queue, an Excel spreadsheet, or vector impact. You need to have a system for phone numbers. That way, you can just start at the top and then call. And when you get one, you mark it green. When they say no, you mark it red. If they don't answer, you just don't color it. Do you know why? Because you can call people 10, 15, 20, 30 different days in a row until they pick up. Like they don't, how like I get so many phone calls and I don't even go back and check who I missed the phone calls from. So if you didn't leave me a message or a text, you're not getting a call back. Just the amount of calls that I get in a day. You know how bad adults are with their phones? They're not on them. They don't care. So if they miss a phone call, they're just like, oh, I don't know who that was. So you can call them every phone jam, Monday through Friday, until they pick up. Right? A lot of times they'll be like, oh yeah, like Ben, yeah, I'd love to help you out. Why haven't you called me yet? It's like, well, I called you 30 different times, but you never picked up. So thanks for picking up this time. And then once you get to about 15 calls, you want to do what's called the ghost text, which is where you text them, hey, and then their name and a question mark. And it works really well. So I had a lady I called today. She didn't pick up. Let's see if I can find it. So basically I said, hey, is this blank? There we go. Yep. So, hey, Olivia, question mark. And she said, yes, this is she. And then I called her again and she picked up because she didn't pick up my first 2 phone calls. And then I texted her after I called. I was like, hey, super excited to work with you because she's starting today or tomorrow. Right. So it's called a ghost text. They almost always pick up if you do that. Voicemails, you could leave them. I'm not a fan because then I feel like I can't call them back. But if you've had a hard time reaching somebody, I would do that. And then the other concept here is getting the right referrals. Okay. Let's pretend you have A clients, B clients, and C clients. A is your best, B are average, C are not great. You don't want to see them. Okay. That would be like, Michael, that'd be like getting a 30-year-old dad or a single dad. Like, that's a C client, not a great client. You could see them if you had to, but I would, right? So the concept here is your C's, they also know B's and A's. Your B's know A's, B's, and C's. And your A's know a lot of A's, a decent number of B's, and some C's. Okay? So the goal here is to start getting a lot of A recommendations so you can duplicate more A recommendations. Right? I would get notes on that. Here's what your A recommendations are: business owners, country people, wealthy customers, private school moms, big families, people who love to cook. So when you're getting recommendations, number one, you want to get a lot of them, like 15 plus on each appointment. And number two, you want to qualify them. Hey, where are they from? How do you know them? What area do they live in? If you were me, who would you show Cutco to first? Are they friends of yours? Oh, they're family. Okay, cool. And then when's the best time to call them? I call this MARTC, M-A-R-T-C. So when you're qualifying, M-A-R-T-C, who's married? M. How old are they? Age. A, right? M-A. Married, age, relationship, M-A-R. T for time. When's the best time to call? And then C for Cutco, M-A-R-T-C. Hey, if you were me, who would you show Cutco to first? That's the C. Those are your best clients. Okay. And you want to ask for the area that they live in too. That might be a good one. A could be age, A could be area. And then you want to ask for specific areas. You want to know how Kayla has a high average order? She's probably selling in a good market. Higher income customers can afford bigger sales. Everyone can afford something, but your higher income customers can afford more. Duh, right? So go Google your area that you're from. Even if you just moved here and you're from the military, go Google your hometown and figure out where the high income zip codes are. Figure out what the neighborhoods are called. In Virginia Beach, if you can get into Bird Neck, if you can get into Larchmont in Norfolk, if you can get into Church Point in Chicks Beach, Bay Colony on Oceanfront, Sherwood Lakes, Lagomar out in Red Mill, Pungo, anything in Pungo is like stupid. Like, it's good stuff. And you'll meet some really cool people too. I saw Mark Leishman, he's a PGA pro golfer. I did a service call for him down in Pungo. He's worth like 14 million. His wife's super cool. And he was rookie of the year in 2009 in PGA Tour. Like, he's a badass. So I was like, yeah, what do you guys do? He's like, oh, I golf. And she was like, oh, he's a pro golfer. Like, he's on the tour. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. You'll meet people like that. Would that be fun just to meet those people? Yeah. And then you can sell them a lot of Cutco too. So side benefit. But those people will recommend you to more people just like them. Does that make sense? So you want to get into your A quality customers. This is going to help you work less, but get a bigger effect, get a bigger result, and get more sales per appointment. Cool. So this is the setup so far. Let me stop there. Let me pause. Do we have any questions? Something related, on topic, on what I've talked about tonight so far? Do we have any questions? There are no bad questions. I know I mentioned in training, don't ask stupid questions, but there are no bad questions. Don't ask stupid questions, but there are no bad questions. Any questions? No.
Yeah,
No?
I have one.
Cool. Talk to me, Elizabeth.
Yeah, so as far as taxes go, what would it look like if we sold 100K this year?
Ooh, good call. So you would make 50 and you'd be able to write off um, anything that you two do together because you guys are both Cutco reps. So any date nights, anything fun. You can't write off your rent, unfortunately. That's not like an office, but you could write off like if you go on a nice dinner and you guys talk about work, that's technically a tax write-off. It shouldn't be, but it is. And your laptops you can write off. You can write off your earbuds. You can write off your internet at home. You can write off your cell phone bill, both of yours. You can write off your mileage to and from any event that you do with Alex. You can write off any supplies. If you guys want to, cook at home and you buy some groceries and you cut it up with Cutco, that's technically research, technically. So you could write that off. You can write off, you can get real creative with it. It's really gray area, but this is my wheelhouse. Like I'm really good at tax stuff and money and, it's like finances is like what I get excited about. So you can't write off clothes like a uniform technically. If it's monogrammed, you can, but then you just look pretentious. So any team event, like if you take into the other SVU reps and Alex pays for it, technically you could pay for it and Alex will pay you back and then you take the tax write-off and then he can take the tax write-off. Gray area. Most of that is like, if you feel comfortable, I would get a financial advisor and ask them. I'm not a financial professional. And some of those things would probably be frowned upon by the IRS. But, here's the thing. If you're making 50 grand a year, do you think the IRS is going to come after you? Do they care about you? No, they want to go after someone who's making like $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, $4 million, $5 million, right? So what would happen is you'd make 50, you'd probably write off about, I don't know, you get a personal exemption of about 6 or 7. Let's call it 10. So you're at 40 and you write off another 10 grand. So you pay taxes on 30K. 30K, you'd be in a really low tax bracket. So maybe like 15%. 15% would be 4,500. So you'd pay about 4,500 in taxes. But think about all the stuff that you wrote off that really isn't a tax write-off. Like, are dates really a team meeting? Not really. Is your internet something you already have? Yeah, probably. Is your phone something you already have? Yeah, it is. So you're writing off things that if you worked at a W-2, you wouldn't be able to do. If you made 50 grand at a W-2, you'd pay 15 per, you pay like 20 to 25% of 50 grand. Here, you can get off like writing off a decent amount and pay a lot less. You'd probably end up paying 10 to 12 grand at a W-2 making 50 grand. You'd probably pay 4,500 as a 1099 with Cutco making 50 grand. So you're saving quite a bit by being a 1099. It's a great question. Would you guys like a tax workshop at some point on this call? Yeah, cool. You don't really have to.
Elizabeth, to kind of give you a little bit more in depth, I earned about 50 grand as a rep my full-time year. And I only ended up paying, I think it was like $800 for taxes, where if I was at a W-2, I probably would have paid like 4 or 5 grand. So definitely a lot better.
For sure. Alex made too much as an assistant manager. I paid him a lot. Also get to an assistant manager spot. Number one, you get to pick the job that you want, what you're excited about. It's not just like a random title. Like you can be someone who coaches reps. You can be somebody who interviews people. You can be somebody who helps out with training. You could even be somebody who just does clerical stuff, like setting people for interviews. So assistant managers wear different hats. And I think about like, not only did you get paid off of the office, but think about all the skills you'd be learning. You'd be learning from someone like an Alex Sylvester or a Zach Jost or Brady Paxton, and like all that knowledge and of running a business. Plus, you get like real world practical experience doing it, and on top of that, you get paid pretty well. So, usually assistant managers, cough cough, Margie, this summer. Usually assistant managers make like 5 to 10 grand off the office for the summer. So. And then what they sell, which is great. So it's like, it's a good chunk. So then you make more, and then Elizabeth's question is more important and you pay more in taxes, but It happens. So cool. Good question. So that is a system that is part of like, you know, if you're going to make 100,000, you probably need to consider that or sell 100,000. So one other thought with systems, what I would do is I would partner with somebody on this call, not as a mentor, but as an accountability partner. So look around the Zoom room really quick, find somebody. Ideally, it's somebody from another office. Number one, so you can meet people. And number two, so you can have someone you're accountable with. Like, it's pretty easy to bail on yourself on a workout. But if your boy's coming to the gym with you, like, you don't want to let him down, you know, your gym partner, you show up for them. It's really easy to quit on yourself. It's really hard to quit on someone else. So find an accountability partner, somebody you're like, you know what, they look cool. Hit them up, look around the call. Look at all the names on the call. Hit them up. Speaking of, you guys need to meet each other. So let's do this. For the last probably couple minutes or so, I'm going to put you in breakout rooms and I'll switch it up. Put you in another breakout room, switch it up, put you in another breakout room. We'll do that until about 6:55. Maybe take some notes, a little interview, a little meet and greet. And then we'll wrap and then we'll head to your team meeting at 7. Now, are you going to have a wimpy phone jam? No. Okay. No. Not at all. You're gonna have a good phone jam. Okay, I want to see some good numbers, like you're making 40, 50, 60 calls. That would be exciting. So let me go ahead and I'm going to stop the recording here.